What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. We're officially here at NBA Summer League, meaning this is the time where we get to see a lot of young players really get their first, taste of professional basketball. And while this might not be, the best basketball, X's and O's wise, it is still really cool to see some of these fresh faces, kind of get on the court for the first time and get their jersey on for the first time and everything. We just get to see some, official action of them. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how we're going to cover Summer League, as well as talk about the Summer League that's kind of already happened up to this point and kind of summarize it. But yeah, you guys make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all those things that I normally ask you to do. I respond to every single comment on my YouTube channel, and I intend to keep on doing so. Let's get into the video. So for those of you that don't know, I don't know why you wouldn't, NBA Summer League is a really cool thing that takes place where every team puts together a Summer League squad, sometimes multiple, and they all go into this big tournament in Vegas, right? And they all get to play a bunch of games and everything, and it's a great chance for the young guys to kind of develop a little bit in the offseason, work with their coaches, and implement a system and stuff, right? And just get some good reps when maybe sometimes second-year players didn't get a ton of burn or something like that last year during their rookie seasons or things like that, right? It's just a chance for them to play pro ball. The Vegas Summer League is a big recruiting event too. This is something that I would typically go to with my business and everything. I'm not actually able to travel right now because I'm actually prepping for my wedding and things like that. So it's just not going to happen this year. But typically I would be there and I'd be networking with people and just connecting with everyone in the basketball world. It's a whole thing. And so the games start as you guys see it. They start today as early as 4 p.m. Eastern time, so that should be really cool. Do the Bulls play tomorrow? I'm just kind of looking. Nope, no Bulls tomorrow. I might as well tune into it. I'm a Bulls fan for those of you that don't know, but Summer League has been happening a little bit already. We have the Salt Lake City Summer League and the California Classic. There used to be an Orlando one. That's the one that most people knew about, but these are kind of the two that exist now up to this point. It's just a couple teams that kind of play in them a little bit earlier. So we'll talk about the rookies that have been playing in these already, talk about kind of how we're going to be covering the Summer League and everything, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So as you guys know, I like to use spreadsheets to do a lot of different things on my channel. If you guys followed my ideal off season, you'll know that I'm big on the spreadsheet. So what I've done is I've actually built another spreadsheet to kind of help us talk about this stuff. This is not my display or anything. I'm just showing you a background. I've got a little formula running in the background here that's scraping all the game data and everything, so I can make a couple nice little displays for you guys. In each video that we're going to be doing, and I'm going to cover every day of Summer League, I'll be covering particular players and how they've been playing as of late, right? Kind of guys to watch, because here's the thing with Summer League, right, is that we're not here to break down the X's and O's necessarily and the basketball strategy behind it. We're here to watch the players, and I want to solidify a couple things with this, is that we're not here to judge the stats necessarily. That just doesn't make sense to do. These guys is first time playing professional basketball and everything. It just doesn't really matter. We want to kind of look at what habits they have right now and just kind of evaluate and be this is something to kind of look out for. Here's a cool thing that this player's kind of doing now or whatever, right? It's not our job to judge them oh, this guy's good and this guy's bad right now. That's ridiculous. Anybody that's doing that, go look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're dumb. That just doesn't make any sort of sense. Don't try to evaluate the Summer League guys too much like that. Just look at some of the habits they have. What do they want to do right now? A lot of times these guys are nervous as shit. So it's a whole thing to do. But we are going to be kind of doing deep dives on people and watching a couple of them. But what we can do so far is talk about some of the stat leaders that we have up to this point. So between those two Summer Leagues, here's our point per game leaders. We're seeing Keyonte George here, who was a really nice rookie for Utah last year and ended up becoming kind of their starting point guard. Again, this is 2-3 games most for a lot of these guys, but still 30 points a game for Keyonte George. This guy, Adonis Arms, was putting out some really cool moments for them, getting you about 27 or 20 a game. Ethan Thompson, he's on the Sacramento Kings Summer League roster, getting it. But Keon Ellis, that's a second year guy that we're seeing, right? Coming to the NBA and found a starting role for himself and was a really nice 3-and-D player for Sacramento, especially in the playoffs. Great opportunity for a guy like this to go out there and get some minutes and everything. He's taking full advantage right now. That's awesome. Seeing Khalil Ware, not Kel-El Ware. I've apparently read too many Superman comics, and I'm just bad with names in general. He played in 2, maybe 3 games. I think it was just 2, but 19 points a game for him right now. Very cool to see. Right, again, we're not going to worry about the stats too much, but it's just kind of interesting to see. Scottie Pippen Jr., obviously, he's been in the NBA periodically. He's the kind of guy you expect to play pretty well at Summer League, and he's trying to always get his next contract. Some familiar names up here at the top for rebounders, Zach Edey and Walker Kessler. And by the way, we'll go through this like every day and like notice guys that are moving or not, yada, 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 right? Zach Edey obviously coming in might just be the starting center for Memphis right away. And Walker Kessler, who he's actually going to be a third-year player this year. And, you know, that happens sometimes. Walker Kessler battled injuries a lot last season and kind of struggled to get back into the rotation after that. And so it was no surprise that he wanted to jump in there, and credit to him because, you know, a lot of times teams don't ask them to do that. So Walker Kessler's getting in and getting some burn here. Marquise Bolden, not surprised to see him there. Khalil Ware, again, kind of falling into this. And then Dylan Jones, the OKC first-round pick. An interesting thing with Dylan Jones, and maybe, actually, I'll wait until I get to the rookie reports. You guys just wait there. All right, assists per game, Ousmane Dieng. Nice to see him getting a lot of ball handling responsibilities here. He's kind of just been a project in the works for the OKC Thunder for a while. Hopefully he can find a way to get on the court this year. It's going to be hard. Like, it's a deep rotation to crack, but it'd be nice to see him kind of get out there because I know he was shooting maybe from three pretty well too. I can't remember, but we can well, I guess we can take a look if we really want to. This is kind of how the spreadsheet works. So if I want to get Ousmane Dieng, let's go here. What are we kind of working with Dieng right now? 40% from three right now, pretty good. 34% field goal percentage, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, yeah, a steal, block and a half. I know I'm getting entrenched in the stats right now, but it's just kind of interesting to see kind of what's going on, right? So that's what we're getting out of Dieng right now. Just cool to see. Dylan Jones, again, finding himself in that. Dylan Jones in college was very ball dominant, like extremely ball dominant. And so, and I guess I'm kind of getting into the conversation now. How is he going to be in OKC when he doesn't get to have the ball a ton? Or are they going to give him the ball a ton? Because Cason Wallace doesn't necessarily have to have it. Like, is he just kind of a ball handling Lou Dort then that can like play make a little more? Is that what we're kind of thinking with Dylan Jones? Because they also like to do this drive and kick offense. And in theory, he fits in kind of well with that because he loves to drive to the hoop. Like, that's his thing. He doesn't really step outside much. So kind of curious to see where we go with that one. AJ Mitchell, another Thunder guy, out there doing something. Scottie Pippen Jr. again falls into that. Some of the steal leaders, again, Scottie Pippen, a lot of the familiar names. Shout out Gigi Jackson getting out here in Summer League. Expect to see some cool things out of him. I really like his game. Block leaders, no surprise, the 7'4" like dude blocking shots. Very, very cool. And again, I can't stress it enough with Summer League, right? Like, it's not the cleanest basketball. It's not always like the smartest basketball being played. A lot of these guys are out there really trying to make a team and stuff like that, so bad shots are forced. More often than not, you see guys just like running right into people. You see them taking nervous shots. It's all supposed to happen, right? But again, you're seeing like Khalil Ware find himself at the top of things right now. Walker Kessler, very cool. Taylor Hendricks, a guy that a lot of people are probably pretty excited to see after he didn't really get like any burn in Utah. But then we saw a little bit of glimmer of hope that maybe it wasn't like a bad draft pick or something, because you're like, okay, I can see a little 3-and-D forward out of this guy. But anyway, let's get on to the rookie report. So this rookie report is something that I built where basically as the actual rookies in the draft get picked, they're going to start to fill in on this sheet, and then their stats will start to populate in here as well, which I think is kind of a cool little feature whatsoever. But what I wanted to do with this is just kind of use this as a way for us to track, like, you know, these are the names we're really watching this year, right? Or this year's rookies. So I thought what we could do is we could kind of go through these really quick and just kind of see like who's doing what. We could start off with just like basic like shooting percentages, and these like red means it's like below like league average typically is what I have these like set to right now. Green obviously being like above. I wouldn't stress about it too much. It's more so just to show for demonstration purposes right now. Stephon Castle, not shooting great from the field right now. We know he's not typically like a great three-point shooter, so something to see. He looks pretty hesitant out there right now, so that's kind of something to watch for. Zach Edey made his shots. Awesome. Good for Zach Edey. I'm going to scroll over just a little bit there. No, I won't. We're going to do it this way. Khalil Ware, looks like he's playing well from there right now. The free throw percentage is a little bit like iffy right now, but again, low sample size. You're going to see a lot of reds in here. Summer League is always going to be pretty below average. So Jared McCain, Dalton Connect, haven't quite found it yet. Dalton Connect had a slower first game, but kind of picked it up in the second one. Dylan Jones, not too bad right now. Yeah, my biggest question is going to be, what is he going to do without the basketball, right? I don't necessarily know. Collier actually been decently efficient right now. We'll take a look at the turnovers at some point. Filipowski's been a little rough so far, and that's okay. I wasn't like high on Filipowski necessarily, but we'll be rooting for him nonetheless. AJ Mitchell's getting to the rim pretty well. That's really cool to see. Jalen Wells, he's been shot chucking just a little bit. He's gotten up 32 shots already for Memphis, so good for him there. Free throw percentage is falling. That's awesome. Adam Adem Bona. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do with Bona. He's kind of like an undersized run, jump, and dunk kind of guy. And he's not necessarily the strongest, but I think he could be a decent reserve big down the line. So that's kind of my hope with him. He's hitting the free throws, though. We'd love to see it. Larson here, he's hitting his threes so far. That's awesome. He's only taken 5 of them. And then Harrison Ingram actually putting together a couple nice games here and there efficiency-wise. So that's pretty cool. Let's go check out some of these like other numbers though. Let's just like sort this quick so it's a little bit easier of a look for us. So again, I'm using like some scales here to kind of show like league averages and like expectations, especially based off positions with these colors and everything. So you're looking at like Stephon Castle and you're seeing like a lot of good contribution. Like it's especially nice actually when the turnovers are low in Summer League. That's kind of a correlating point that we've seen be important when we talk about like NBA statisticians and stuff like that, because a lot of turnovers happen in Summer League. There's just a lot of like discombobulation. Players don't really know what they're doing out there a lot of times, and other guys are cutting at weird points. The offense isn't really solidified, so it's going to lead to turnover. So it's cool to see, especially for a guy that has the ball, that hasn't been a problem. Zach Edey, obviously the rebounds are high. You're probably not going to see a ton else besides the blocks and the rebounds. Like the turnovers or whatever, that's probably going to be a concern for Zach Edey, like going into the season anyway, as he's going to learn like what NBA defense looks like, because I'm just being real with you, he hasn't been guarded well up to this point. So I'm just curious as to what's going to happen. Cody Williams has been a little bit rough and a little bit disjointed up to this point. He looks pretty raw and like nervous out there, kind of what we expected. So not a huge deal at the end of the day, but keeping turnovers relatively low. He doesn't touch the ball a ton in those games, so it's hard to really tell. Khalil Ware, obviously getting boards out there, blocking shots. He has some interesting, like, we'll call it defensive lapses so far, but he's like athletic enough to kind of make up for it in Summer League. Like there's been a lot of times where he's jumping at shots you should not jump at, but that's okay, right? He's young, like he's going to make those mistakes. Honestly, that's something I expect to see out of the young guys coming in. It's something that I would take advantage of whenever freshmen would come to the college, right? It's just those are the dumb mistakes that they're going to make. So just something that I've been noticing a lot with him. Jared McCain, not finding a ton of ways to like contribute so far, but that's okay, right? Like he's going to be a rookie this year with a lot of vets around him, so hopefully he can find a nice way to contribute and be a floor spacer. Dalton Knecht kind of finding his way out there a little bit. Like I don't hate the 4 rebounds a game necessarily for his spot. Maybe you'd like to see a little bit more, getting his hands involved, which is cool, keeping the turnovers low right now, which is nice, especially because he's going to have more ball handling duties in like Summer League than he will in like NBA play. Dylan Jones has been getting involved very heavily, but the turnovers have been high, and that's kind of what you expect to see, especially out of a guy that is just so extremely ball dominant. And he's very reckless in how he plays and gets to the hoop because he is very strong. So just something to watch out for with him. Again, we'll keep saying what's going to happen with him. Collier actually keeping the turnovers down, which is really exciting to see. So that's cool, keeping the steals up. Assists are pretty good, so we like to see that out of Collier. That's awesome. Filipowski, again, kind of struggling so far, and that's kind of to be expected out of him right now, so not tripping about it too much. AJ Mitchell really getting out there with the assists. That's pretty cool. Jalen Wells out there getting a ton of rebounds for his size, which is cool, and keeping turnovers pretty low. Bona, he's blocking shots. That's going to happen in Summer League because a lot of guys are going to go to the rack to try to be extra aggressive, and you can time those blocks really easily. Cool. Larson, nothing all that interesting outside of the steals. Like his steals are pretty off the chart actually for everything else, so that's kind of cool. Harrison Ingram is a guy that while I don't see him playing, like I could totally see him like not seeing any time for the Spurs for like 2 years, and all of a sudden he's like a decent role player. That's just kind of what I picture out of a Harrison Ingram. Just a really good defender, got some nice size out on the wing. I think that could be a pretty cool thing overall. And then we got like Cam Spencer out there getting pretty good assist numbers actually, and keeping the turnovers low. And then we got Bronny James, right? We didn't take a look at Bronny James's like field goal percentage or anything, did we? The 25% and everything, like yeah, I just don't give a shit honestly. Like Bronny looks honestly just fine out there to me, especially for the level I expect him to be at. Like I think his defensive instincts are crazy. That's what I told people during the draft process. I was like, honestly, like his defensive knowledge is pretty nuts, in my opinion. Like I think it's one of the best that I've seen in a draft process. In all honesty, he's athletic. He can get his hands on the ball. That's really cool. Like we can teach jump shots and stuff like that if it's not great right now. Like that's totally fine. Like he's got all the tools, so I feel pretty good about Bronny at the end of the day. Like I'm not sweating about any of these guys necessarily right now. It's just they're young, and this is my favorite time when I was still coaching and everything. This is the stuff that I loved, man. I love when the fresh guys come in. And by the way, I would never show players this stuff. I would always be like, nope, you don't need to know what your stats are right now. Just go play basketball, find your footing, get confident. Remember, you're just playing a game. Like I wouldn't want to show them stats like the whole preseason. I just wouldn't. Even like during the regular season, if I could prevent it. Obviously, you can't, but I just wouldn't want to do that. So I just love seeing the development of these guys. You're starting at step 0. How high can we get? Yeah, so each day I figure we kind of like be checking in on people, seeing kind of what's going on and everything. Obviously, more of this list will start to filter in, and the stat leaders will start to change. We'll focus on key guys each day, right? And just kind of be like, yeah, this was kind of the standout of it. And I just want to give a little tutorial as to like kind of how this series is going to work while recapping kind of what we've seen so far. I'm building a lot of different spreadsheets for things. Like I'll tell you guys right now, like for those of you that liked Ideal Offseason, I've built a very similar thing for, we'll call it the season preview series that I'll be doing in August for each team, just talking about like goals and like salary cap breakdowns and like possible moves and things like that. I think it'll be a pretty cool series, so I'm trying to get the spreadsheets more involved. I feel like that's kind of my niche and everything, but hey, you guys let me know at the end of the day. But hey, I appreciate you guys watching as always. Let me know, like, who are you wanting to watch in Summer League and everything? Like, what names are you really watching outside of like the Zach Edey's and Bronny Jameses, right? Like, obviously I'm excited to see like Reed Shepherd and like Sarr and Reece Sachet. I feel like these are like the least talked about like top 3 picks ever. Like, and it's not the greatest draft, so that's totally understandable. Like, obviously as a Bulls fan, I'm excited and hopeful to see Buzelis play. And again, we're not going to read too much into anything that happens in Summer League. I can't stress enough, y'all, just because Khalil Ware is averaging 19 points a game here, he could very well average 3 during the NBA regular season. That's just how it is. Like the Summer League is like no indication of how you play in NBA basketball. It's a completely different game. It's just to get reps in and get you out on the court because you're a young guy and you're trying to figure it out. But anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching as always. We'll talk to you later.